This is a photo I picked up from a Facebook friend's post. It's a clear representation of what seems to be contradictions in the Bible about who is saved. But again, there are no contradictions with truth. It's just a matter of having enough pieces in the right places to see the big picture. Are we saved by grace alone? Well, we sure can't be saved without it, but it's kind of silly since they are two completely different things that still work together, just as everything is interconnected. The argument of one or the other sounds like a typical public school mentality argument to me. That law has already been satisfied at least once. The grace part of the equation is satisfied by the atonement. So that ticket was already paid for everyone. And arguing about grace versus works, or faith versus works even, is pointless. Intelligence versus what we do with the intelligence, pointless. How can you have it just be one or the other? Or one without the other? It's like the head without the heart. How disintegrated can you get? The head without the heart. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, saying confess and believe and you are saved is a cheap fix. It's like saying just forget about all your worst fears and problems and just believe you're saved whether you really are or not. It only plugs part of the hole in the bottom of your boat. At least it plugs part of it. Some things do nothing or make the hole bigger. Faith and works are inseparable. Only disintegration teaches you otherwise. Only disintegration would teach you that you could do it by works alone without grace. And only disintegration would teach you that you could do it by grace alone. It shows how little people have understood about how we develop. Thus the need for the laws of empowerment and the applied lymphology course. This is actually how we develop. First of all, the price of the ticket of grace has already been paid for through the atonement. That part of the atonement has already been done. That piece has already been paid for everybody, and that happened a long time ago. How we put that into action is where we make the positive shifts for ourselves. Believing that Christ paid the price is one thing, acting on it is another, and everything is inseparably interconnected. But the same way people's brains disintegrate, they do the same with the scriptures. They may say they believe the Bible is the greatest authority of God, but in their disempowerment and disintegrated condition, all they have room for in their brain is a small part of the New Testament, like the book of Romans. If they could integrate the whole thing, they'd realize the importance to continue to integrate and to integrate the writings of the tribe of Joseph and to study to understand as much as possible all the other lineages too. But if anyone were able to previously show you how to do this, we'd have done it. In the beginning was a grand master plan. How can you have a plan without players? Well, you can't. So God's plan included many players. God's timeline will not allow for the grand integration or the gathering to happen faster than has already been decided. And it's happening right here and now with you and me. And it appears there was room for everybody in God's plan. I can see God's hand in the Baptist church and can say the same for most lineages. And if I can be so understanding, maybe I can help others to understand. There never really was anything to be afraid of. Our bummers are just meant to be shifted into even bigger woohoos. The laws of empowerment transcend the arguments of grace, faith, and works because we now understand much more of how they're integrated. This is simple, yet advanced. We're showing how higher level intelligence develops. God must have had a purpose in time for sort of farming the weak-hearted or the weak-minded because it's where people have more or less been. I can understand the need for various organizations to help people in their various levels of disintegration to be nurtured as a stepping stone and providing time and space for opportunities to learn and grow. We have entered yet another phase of God's plan, which is not tailored to the weak. It will weed out the weak-hearted and weak-minded. It's no longer enough to merely take the most simple and easy core aspect of the gospel and duplicate belief in only that principle, leaving out the more difficult principles in order to grow a fast and strong organization of weak-minded and willed people, and to farm them out. And obviously, it's not what this program is about, because there are various levels of true or false prophets, as there are various levels of empowerment and disempowerment. Some shortcuts may have been a stepping stone, but when that which is perfect is come, then that which is done in part shall be done away. Otherwise, they may also hold people back from integrating greater empowerment. Some people and groups have better understood this than others. God has always given it to us straight, although it's often been in parables which allow us to grow as we're able, to see more and more meaning as we're able over time. With all the opposing views of so many dominant religions, I've just learned to love and understand them. And because of the fear and hurt feelings, some may try to make fun of me in my efforts here. I'm okay with that. I'm not offended by that at all, because I've learned that I can laugh at myself too. The laws of empowerment help us to see through that. These principles continue to grow, with or without me. I'm just doing my best to shed light on them. But the last chapter has already been written, and God's plan, we already know how it turns out. There were key elements put into God's plan to basically help guarantee certain things would happen that would take us to where we are right now. And it's not over yet. But certain things were already decided from the start.